guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing our first Valentine's Day look. It's super smoky, kind of grungy. We got a cut crease going on. So I'm super excited to show you guys how I got this look. It's also inspired by Beth Painter Makeup on Instagram. So make sure you guys check her out. Her work is super amazing and she's just like a flawless artist. So I'm going to go ahead and leave her info down below in the description box for you guys. So to start off this look, I'm using the Louise base in the shade Rumour number 4. I'm going to carve underneath my brows first, then pat some extra product onto the lid to prep for eyeshadow. Then with a little bit of Fenty Beauty's blotting powder, I'm going to use this product to set the edges of the base. So that way when I go ahead and do the outer corners of my eyeshadow, there's like a really nice smooth transition there and it's not like skipping or anything like that on the edges. So the first shadow I'm going to be jumping into is from the Morphe 39A Dare to Create palette. It's this deep magenta color here. I think all of these shades actually have names, but I lost the plastic that comes on top of it. So yeah. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and place this onto the crease using a Morphe M506. I'm just making sure to really pack on this color very well. And I'm also taking it out a little bit further than I normally would my crease colors because I want this eye look to be super smoky and blown out. So don't be afraid to kind of blend it out a little bit further than you normally would. Then going into the Morphe 35B palette, I'm going to take this pink shade and use that to blend out the edges. I'm taking a second Morphe M506. This one is clean, so I'm using a separate brush for all of my different shadows. I'm just going to take this into the crease as well, a little bit further above the crease, and just blend out the edges of that last shade. So I'm going to be using a black eyeshadow for this look, but I don't want to go straight in with black eyeshadow at this point because it's going to be a little bit more difficult to blend. So I'm using a deeper plum shade. This is also from the 39A palette, and I'm going to place that onto the crease first. This is going to act as like a transition shade for our black eyeshadow, so it's a lot easier to blend later on. So I'm placing that onto the crease and building it up as I normally would, then going back in with the brush that I used to apply our first crease color and just making sure the edges are nice and well blended. Then to deepen up the crease even more, I'm going to use some black eyeshadow. Black eyeshadow is super tricky because it's really, really intense and dark. So you want to make sure that you're using a little bit at a time and building and blending the color as you go along. Hopefully that helps a little bit because this is actually my second time doing this look, and my first attempt definitely taught me that black eyeshadow is not one of those colors that you want to like pack on immediately and then try to blend it out later. So yeah, use a little bit of product out of a time, and I feel like that way it's going to be a lot easier to get that really smooth gradient effect. I'm then going to go ahead and start cutting the crease. I'm using a Louise basic base in the shade Winter Rose. It's this really beautiful, like light, almost like baby pink. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the crease as I normally would, then go in with a fluffier flat brush to pat the product in so it can start to set before I apply any shadows on top. I'm creating more of like a half cut crease today, so I'm not winging it out all the way. And I'm just going to make sure to kind of keep the outer corner exposed so that way I can go ahead and add some more shadow on the outer corner and lash line later on. Then to set the lid, I'm going to use a lighter pink shadow from the 35B palette from Morphe, and I'm taking a slightly fluffier brush. This is a Morphe M507, and I'm just going to pat that on to the lid area to set the base. I'm then gonna go ahead and start creating like a smoked out liner on the lash line. So to start off, I'm gonna go back in with that hot pink shadow from the 35B palette, and using another Morphe M507, I'm gonna start buffing that onto the outer corner and blending it into the lid. Then just like we did the crease, I'm gonna add that darker magenta color and that deeper plum shade and add those onto the outer corner. So that way we have a nice kind of transition before we apply our black eyeshadow onto the lash line. Then to finish up the lid, I'm going to use that black shadow again and just kind of concentrate that on the outer corner and lash line, and then use any previous brushes just to make sure it's really well blended into the other colors on the outer corner. Before I go in with falsies, I'm going to go ahead and add some mascara onto my lashes. I'm using Colourpop's new Volumizing mascara. Then for lashes, I'm going to be using some Tatti lashes in the style TL Mitchell. Then I'm going to press those lashes with my natural ones using a pair of lash curlers. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and pause with the eyes for a second and move on to skin. I'm gonna start off prepping my skin using the Becca Evermatte Poreless Primer. I'm only gonna use this on the areas where I get super oily. So for me, that's above my brows, on my nose. I have larger pores on my cheeks, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some there, and then a small amount on my chin. Then for the rest of my face, I'm going to be using the Touch in Sol No Poreblem Primer. I got this one in this month's BoxyCharm. I think this is more of like a silicone kind of based primer because it gives you like that ultra smooth, like blurred effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that on all the areas that I didn't apply the Becca primer. I'm then going to add some liquid highlighter on all the high points of my face. This is OPV's Liquid Illuminator in the shade Starlight. I love using this step to kind of get that inner glow type of look underneath my foundation. I'm just going to add that onto my forehead, a little on the chin, on the cheekbones, basically anywhere where I would apply like a powdered highlighter. I'm using a new foundation today. This is L'Oreal's new Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. This is my first time wearing it, and I really like this foundation actually. L'Oreal always kind of kills it with the foundation formulas. I love this one because it's a lot thinner than I anticipated, but it still has like really great coverage, and you can kind of build it up wherever you need it. The finish is also really great. I feel like even over the Becca primer, it didn't feel dry or anything like that at all. So I definitely recommend it. I feel like it will work great on a lot of different skin types. I'm also going to be using L'Oreal's new Full Wear Concealer. L'Oreal is basically killing it with the Complexion products because this concealer is also really bomb. I'm loving the formula. There was a lot of different shades to choose from when I was in store purchasing. It's definitely more full coverage, so if you're not into full coverage, I would probably stray away from this one. And it does dry a little bit faster than most concealers that I have. So I would kind of compare this to more of like a MAC Pro Longwear concealer with a little bit more of like a thicker consistency, if that makes sense. But overall, I feel like this is a really great concealer, and I'm definitely going to be using it more often in the future. So if you watched my last tutorial, you probably saw me struggle with the Fenty concealer and powder combination, but this concealer took the Fenty powder like nothing. Like, this combination together is bomb, guys. My skin was looking super flawless and smooth. I was super excited to see that these two products worked really well together because I was really bummed that the Fenty concealer was just like not having it with the setting powder, at least for me personally. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on to bronzer. I'm using Black Radiance's True Complexion Contouring Palette. This palette is the medium to dark one, and I'm going to use a combination of the two contouring and sculpting powders to create my perfect bronzing shade. I'm then going to move back to the eyes. I'm going to start smoking out that lower lash line. So I'm going to start off by using that hot pink shade from the 35B palette and place that on the lower lash line first. And I'm using a Morphe M507 brush to apply this so that way I get a really nice smooth blend and the color goes on nice and smoky. I'm also going to use that deep magenta shade and add that to the lower lash line as well. Then add some black eyeshadow to kind of make sure it goes in sync with the crease colors and everything. And of course, we got to put some liner on that waterline to make sure there's no like empty space there. So I'm going to be using Urban Decay's 24/7 liner in the shade Perversion. And this is about the blackest liner you can get, guys. If you're looking for a waterproof black liner, make sure you guys check this one out because it's bomb. This is definitely like my favorite black liner that I'm using right now. Before I go in with my bottom lash mascara, you guys know the deal. I gotta add some lash primer. The one I'm using today is of course from L'Oreal. This is their Voluminous lash primer. As it's drying, I'm going to add my inner corner highlight. I'm using a pigment from Peach's Makeup. This one is in the shade Pixie. It's a really cute pink color, so it's going to go perfectly with the eye look. So because the eyes are so bold, I wanted to go back to my more natural brow. So I started off my brows using the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel just to kind of push my brow hairs into place. And then I'm going to go in with my trusty Dipbrow pomade in the shade Ebony. And I'm just going to go ahead and create some little brow hairs to fill in any sparser areas. To set my makeup in place, I'm using Urban Decay's All Nighter Setting Spray. This is also going to kind of prep my skin for that nice highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and spritz that all over and kind of fan it down a little bit. And the highlight that I'm using is from Lancôme. This is their Starlight highlighter palette. And I'm going to be using the pink shade to highlight my skin today. I feel like any type of like more rose gold type of highlighter would work. But I'm just going to go ahead and apply that on the usual areas and just make sure it's nice and buffed in. I didn't want to go too crazy with the highlighter today because yeah, you see these eyes, right? But yeah, I just went ahead and applied highlighter on all the areas that I typically do. So cheekbones, nose, forehead, chin, cupid's bow. And then I'm gonna go back in with that all-nighter setting spray and just give it one more spritz just to really lock in everything and mold that highlighter into the rest of the makeup. To complete the look, I'm going to be doing a pink lip. So I went in first with my MAC lip liner in the shade Plum. This is my go-to lip liner when I'm doing a neutral lip with a pink undertone. So I'm going to line my lips first, then make sure to feather in the outer corners of my lips. So that way it's a lot easier for me to blend in the liner with the lipstick that I apply later on. Then to fill them in, I'm using an Anastasia matte lipstick in the shade Soft Touch. This is like a beigey type of color with a pink undertone, so I thought it would go perfectly with like the look that I'm going for. And I'm gonna go back in with that lip liner and just kind of blend in the lipstick with the liner so it's nice and well blended. And then I'm gonna add some gloss, of course, and I'm using a pink Peaches Makeup lip gloss for the final touch. And that completes this look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. What are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? I'd love to know. But thank you again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one.